Hi folks, John Zajaros here from UltimateBadBackStrategies.com, and I hope by now that you've had a chance to pick up your free copy of the 7-Day Back Pain Cure. It is a remarkable resource, and it is available at thebackpaininstitute.org. And you really need to pick it up because, for a couple of bucks in shipping and handling, it is an amazing resource. But anyway, for today's video, I have received a number of emails, Skypes, and even some telephone calls asking about the intervertebral discs. So I kind of threw this together, and I wanted to go over it at least in some detail for you. If you remember, the normal intervertebral disc, or IVD, is made up of an outer annulus fibrosus and an inner nucleus pulposus. And this is a great drawing over here because it kind of shows the cartilaginous rings. And while it's a very basic drawing, if you get the idea of taking a look at a tree after it's been cut down and you look at the rings, and then you were to insert a gel-like substance in the middle, you'd have a pretty good depiction of what an IVD looks like in cross-section. Now, what happens when a disc breaks down, when this annulus fibrosus is breached, and it happens for a number of reasons, and we'll get into some of them. What happens is when this herniates or ruptures, this annulus fibrosus is breached completely. That means the jelly center comes all the way through this outer ring that's supposed to be intact. Now, when you get a bulging disc, this outer ring remains intact, but this becomes deformed. So imagine that there was just a little bit of this ring left here. That would be more or less what you would be looking at with a bulging disc, as opposed to a complete herniation or rupture. Now, if this occurs posteriorly or to the back, then you have a problem, because when it extrudes posteriorly into this foramen, and a foramen is just a hole, a big hole, you actually have nerves in here, as you can see from these drawings here. Okay, now when that occurs, you end up with pressure on this nerve root, and that creates neck pain, back pain, and sciatica. Now, depending on what level it's at, you're going to have the various expressions of the back pain complex, which is what I call it. Now, interestingly, a slipped disc is another phenomenon entirely, and the slipped disc can be caused either by a condition called spondylolysis. It can be related to spondylolisthesis, and there are several other factors that can contribute to an actual slipped disc. There can be a weakening of the ligament that runs between these vertebral bodies and kind of holds everything in place. But it's kind of beyond what we want to talk about here. What we're talking about here are the discs themselves. Now, degenerative disc disease, if you remember, I said is not a disease. It is a process. It's an aging process, actually, or at least that's where you see it most often. And the reason you see it most often is because of the 5 factors that contribute to the breakdown of the discs and the associated structures of the spine over time. And those are excess weight, muscle weakness, muscle imbalance, inadequate diet and nutrition, and finally dehydration or inadequate hydration. And we've covered those in previous videos. But the fact is that those also contribute to this sort of a process occurring over time. As this annulus fibrosus breaks down, as these discs break down, you end up with herniations, ruptures, bulges, slip discs, and the other things that contribute to neck pain, back pain, and sciatica.